In today's podcast, I sit with Kevin Sneddon in New York City. He's a top real estate agent with Compass, and he created a private client network, which is amazing. 70 agents around the United States, top agents. In 2022, they sold collectively $8.4 billion. We talk about his real estate business and why networking is so important. Take a listen. Well, Kevin, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I see in your back wall $8.4 billion. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's the private client network that I built here at Compass. We have 75 partners, so we're in virtually every luxury market in the country, and that's our collective sales volume from 2022.
Okay, and what made you start that private client network?
You know, I had my own brokerage before I came to Compass, and it was sort of a family office model. I dealt with high net worth folks, most of whom had 4, 5, 6 houses. And I was looking for a way to properly further those relationships, in terms of helping them across their entire real estate portfolio. And I had seen what some other top producing brokers were building these multi-market teams, even trying to go nationwide. And to me, their model was to put less influential agents in these other markets to sort of support them. And my thinking was, and this is why I went to Compass, was to take a nationwide platform that's not a franchise model, all, company owned brokerage offices, take a top X from every luxury market and fuse them together and work on that across that same platform. And it's in a seamless way. So if I'm going to connect someone to, say, an Aspen agent, I've got the number one agent in Aspen overall who's in my network, versus me hiring someone else in Aspen to join my team who's not as influential as who's in my network.
And all of these top 70 agents nationwide are in the Compass network.
Everyone's in Compass.
And really, it sounds like the elite of Compass in those markets.
Yeah, it is. I would say, the average partner, they have a team, they can cover the market, they can cover all price points. The average partner does probably 125 million in annual sales. So that's these are the Real Trends 1000, if you will, are in this network.
So for everyone that's watching or listening, what markets do you service?
I service New York City, Greenwich, Connecticut, which is sort of the East Coast, Beverly Hills, and the Hamptons. And I have a team called Private Client Team.
Okay. And did you service two areas from the very beginning, getting into real estate, or was that something that evolved in time?
I got into real estate in New York City, and then I expanded out to the Hamptons, and it was really the same clientele. So you sell someone a townhouse on the Upper East Side, chances are they want a beach house, in the Hamptons. So that's how I started, and I wanted to deepen those relationships. I didn't understand, well, just sell them a townhouse in New York and not take advantage of that opportunity out east. So it takes a lot of effort to cover multiple markets, and these markets are 2.5 hour drive apart. The Hamptons is very spread out. New York City is obviously a very big real estate market, but I put in the extra effort to really get on top of both of those markets and dealt with a lot of clients in both markets.
Here's a question for you. So you got into real estate from working with high net worth individuals, family offices. Why did you make the transition from one industry to another?
Yeah, I grew up in basically on Wall Street. I worked for American Express and financial services for 12 years. I always had a thing for real estate. And, when I was a single guy at Amex, you would do summer houses, like you see on those television shows now. You would do a share house, And what intrigued me the first time we did a share house, I went out and rented a house and then, divided it by 12 and we all chipped in and did it. And I realized that the summer rent would cover an entire year's carrying costs on a house, so during the share house summer, I'm out every day looking at real estate, and everyone else in the house is like, "Why are you out looking at real estate? Let's go to the beach." And I said, "No, I'm very intrigued by this model." And then the next year, I bought a house, ran that as a share house, and then that money paid all the carrying costs for the year for that house. And then I started to just get into real estate. Then I flipped that house and I bought land and I built a house. And all of a sudden I got to a point at American Express where I either felt like I was going to be a lifer in corporate America or I want to be an entrepreneur. And I
Mhm.
took a leap and got into real estate investment development. And then
Mhm.
that's where I saw the brokerage opportunity.
Okay. Are you still doing the real estate investing and development along with your brokerage?
Not so much. I got into the brokerage and I liked the brokerage so much that I really decided to focus on that. I didn't feel brokers at that time had tremendous business backgrounds or business acumen. I thought I could work at a higher level. I love the deal making, I love the asset class, and I had all these Wall Street connections. So I was kind of set up. And then
Mhm.
with the investment development expertise, I was kind of set up to be a broker.
Mhm.
And then it just sort of took off from there. Inside of a year, did an oceanfront deal in the Hamptons with a hedge fund manager, and then that just sort of cemented me in the high end, and then you start being referred around in that crowd, and that crowd values discretion. And I built this private client brand which I co-opted from the banking industry, and that just sent a message to people that they were going to get discretion from me and a higher level of service. And I built quite a client roster all by myself, you know.
When I hear New York real estate, um, selling $1 million properties, I immediately and real estate, right? And
Yeah,
brokering deals, I think of Ryan Searhan, right? He's
right.
on TV, he glamorizes. It's very. I just saw he's coming out with a new Netflix show, and I mean, is it really like that?
It is a glamorous business, especially New York City is the real estate capital of the world, in my opinion. And, for Ryan invited me to a dinner about 9 months ago at the time it was a $250 million penthouse listing of his. And I went to a private dinner. And I have to tell you, like being in a $250 million penthouse, above Midtown Manhattan and having this private dinner, you really feel like you're in sort of a glamorous world. You're in an environment that not too many people get to ever be in. Most people in this world will never set foot inside of a $250 million apartment.
Right.
So there is this sort of glamour and mystique to it. And I love all the personalities in real estate. There's a lot of successful, wealthy folks out there, and they all come from different backgrounds and they're successful in different ways, and they're so interested and they're all glamorous in their own right. So
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
that's what's very interesting about this business is the people.
But you were mentioning dealing with the high caliber clients, discretion is very important.
Oh
But
yeah.
I see that in real estate, it's so the glamour of putting out what we do as real estate professionals on social media and creating content, it's quite the opposite of discretion, right? And so, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I have to tell you, before I came to Compass, I was very much an under the radar broker. So much so where I started to get people referred to me where there were sensitive situations like divorce, things of that nature, and very private minded operation. And this business is, as you know, is built on trust, so people would trust, oh, Kevin doesn't say anything. When he does a deal, he doesn't even promote it. So I was like completely under the radar. And then when I went to Compass and then social media sort of changed the business, I had to raise my profile, but I had to do it in a way where I wouldn't expose my clients or even the deals. I would sort of talk more about myself and the general business and really look at my deal history as
Mm.
sort of my DNA rather than promote specific deals that I'm doing in real time and being braggadocious about a closing that set a price record or what have you. So there is a way to have a high profile, but not divulge too much information, certainly about your clients. I never
Sure.
tell anybody the names of my clients, et cetera. Where some people will plant a story like in a New York Post, hey, I sold a New York Yankee an apartment. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I do not take advantage of the identity or even the background of any client. So I stay away from that.
How long ago was it that you moved your private brokerage into Compass?
2018.
So back in 2018, and prior to that, you were running your own independent brokerage
Yeah,
for
it
how
was
many
called
years?
Private Client Realty. And again, it was this private client brand. And
Uh-huh.
it was about discretion and just, like I said, like that family office or a wealth manager model, just a higher level of guidance, really drill down with people on what they should be doing with their real estate assets, not just a transactional business.
How important in your business has networking been?
Networking is really crucial. It really is. And that's why I built the ultimate network, if you will. I built a better mousetrap. Not only some people go out and brokers go on the road, they travel, they go to all the big cities, Miami and LA and New York, and you have to get to know the big brokers at all brokerages and have those relationships because they come in handy. And I just took it a step further and said I want to align with these people, and we run it like a business. We have monthly calls, we have biannual offsites, we have mastermind sessions, panel discussions. We teach each other. We don't compete head to head in the same market, so we sort of share our secret sauce with each other.
Mhm.
And then when I say to a client, I can help you in Los Angeles, there's someone that's been in my network for 4 years that I have a relationship with in Los Angeles, and the clients feel sort of the bond that I have with these partners in my network. So to me, that's networking to the nth degree.
It's like going to a doctor and you have you're a cardiologist and then you have a problem with your foot and they have
Right.
specialists in a different area to refer to you.
Exactly, but a specialist that you have a personal
Correct.
relationship with and you've built trust with them and the clients really feel that.
I imagine that doing business for a number of years and being in a different industry, you've developed certain philosophies in terms of how you operate, run your business, your personal life. What are some of those philosophies that you have in your business?
Yeah, to me, and it's pretty simple. Overall, my approach, is I'm humble, I work hard, I execute, for my clients. I'm there to get the job done for them. I'm client driven, so that's how I guide myself through my day, through my week. I advocate for my clients just like I advocate for my children and my family and my friends. So I'm a client advocate. I do what's best for them, and that just guides me and it makes it really easy. And I've talked more people out of buying real estate than I have into buying real estate because I won't sell a client something that I wouldn't buy or sell to one of my kids.
Yep.
So it's pretty simple to me, and I keep my head down and I work hard. And the best compliment I get from people is like, wow, you work really hard. You always get it done. You always give me the right advice. I like that you're humble, and I like that you're a good listener, and I like that you always have my interests at heart, and that's just how I run it.
What's the market like right now in New York City, in the Hamptons? I imagine things have shifted and changed recently.
Yeah, the New York City is a very dynamic market. What's good about that market is there's a lot of high-end real estate. There's always a deal to be had. There's always someone looking to buy, someone looking to sell. There's a lot of sort of socioeconomic forces at play right now in New York that have sort of put that market a little bit on pause. There's a lot of sort of civil unrest. There's all sorts of things going on there, quality of life issues. So the predominant buyer pool right now in New York is sort of young professionals who will live, anywhere at any time they want that urban, experience, and wealthy folks that want access to New York but don't necessarily want to live there full time, right? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of pied-à-terre buyers and these young professionals, and that sort of wealthy family segment has largely exited New York now, and COVID started that, and then other things continued. The Hamptons is a market that's pretty much like Miami. The Hamptons seems to either be going up or down. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
Not stable.
It doesn't, it's really not a stable market because it's a secondary home market. And what's interesting about that market is nobody really needs to buy or sell a house out there. Like the people that own those homes are pretty wealthy, so they're insulated from a lot of what's going on. So they don't really ever need to sell.
Yep.
Then who really needs to buy a $10 million beach house, right? So that's what's interesting about that. And you cannot really push buyers or sellers. You have to really have a finesse out there, you know, to be able to do business. But again, that market is either shooting up or it's plummeting. It's really an interesting market. Greenwich is a very stable market. It's primary, homes, it's wealthy families. It's benefited in a big way from COVID and other sort of lifestyle, sort of quality of life issues in New York. So there's going to be, I would say for the next 10 years, there's going to be more buyers and sellers in a market like Greenwich, very
Sure.
stable. The challenge is limited inventory.
Got it. Got it. And, I'm in a second home market, and
Yeah.
what you're talking about is very true. People don't have to sell. And
No.
the majority, over 90% of our buyers buy with cash. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's not leveraged, and they don't feel the crunch of the interest rates. But interestingly, I don't know if you've seen in the Hamptons, even though the majority of our buyers aren't getting mortgages, it follows the US mortgage interest rates.
Right.
So
Right.
indirectly, it is affected by interest rates.
I think from a consumer confidence perspective, of course.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what I've experienced. Now, in regards to the different markets that you're servicing, how do you operationally accomplish that? Do you have teams set up in each of the areas?
Yeah, I have a team of 9. So I have a few people in New York. I've got someone in the Hamptons and a few people up here in Greenwich. And I go where I need to go. If I need to be with a client in New York, I'm there. If I need to be in Greenwich, if I need to be in the Hamptons, and I have good people that the average tenure on my team is probably 4 years, so I have really good people that I trust, and I'm always available to them and clients, 24/7 on the phone, on a Zoom call like this, text, email, and then in person where I need to be. And it seems to just work for me.
Do you ever get a chance to go on vacation?
You know what? I should go on vacation more because, as you know, every time we go on vacation, we ended up doing a deal, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I should go on vacation more. I do get to take time off, and I kind of go when my clients go. Like the for us, like the dead times of the year are the second half of August, second half of December are probably the two quietest times for me because that's when most of my clients check out. So
Hmm.
that's sort of when I check out, when they check out, right?
And Kevin, you have a family or
Yeah,
they?
I'm married. My wife actually is on my team.
Uh-huh.
And I have 2 kids, and yeah, they're in high school right now and getting ready for college in the next few years.
What do you see your business looking like in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that it's organically growing. Like my whole team was built organically, and obviously early on I was aggressive in building the private client network, but now it's organic in the sense as Compass expands, like we just expanded to New Orleans. So I'll pick up a partner there. Last year we expanded to Phoenix, pick up a partner there. When we go international, I'll pick up partners, there. So it's sort of organic, in that sense. So I just see selective expansion. I want to get better every day, every week, every month, learning from my partners. There's so many ways to be successful in this that I always listen, very intently when I'm talking, when I'm in my network, we're in a meeting, I'm just
Right.
getting nuggets from everybody, and I'm just trying to find new ways to keep pushing it forward and just elevating, your game. If you're not into learning and always challenging yourself to do things that maybe make you feel uncomfortable, you're never going to keep your skill set sharp.
I agree with you 100%. And I missed you. Are you a part of the Realm Network also?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, I think, how we initially contacted each other.
Yeah.
And you weren't at the recent event, but what makes me very jealous of you is one of the panel discussions was talking about the ultra wealthy people. And there's more billionaires in the world in New York than any other city.
That's right. That's right. Hey, there's 8 or 9 billionaires in Greenwich, and there's a couple of hundred in New York, I think.
Yeah. And so dealing with that, I mean, you have to, like you said, sharpen your skills, always get better, because that level of client is expecting nothing less than the best.
I have to tell you, when COVID first hit and people were literally fleeing, Manhattan, I got a call from a billionaire who was looking to rent a house in Greenwich just to get out of New York very quickly. And the first thing I said to him, I was like, with your wherewithal, you should own a house an hour outside of New York, just in case there's ever something that happens in New York where you need to exit. But it was just quite funny. But that's the markets that we're in between New York and Greenwich. I mean, and I have a new, fairly new listing that's like $12 million. 2 of the first 3 showings were to billionaires.
Yeah.
Billionaire families. So we come across that level of wealth here, quite often, to be honest.
And, you're a product of who you surround yourself with. And so if you're constantly surrounded by that much success, that much wealth, it inevitably rubs off on you, right?
You get inspired. I mean, my clients inspire me. My private client network colleagues inspire me. Other colleagues that I have in the industry, just inspire me, and it just keeps you motivated, and you always want to do better. You want to create a better version of yourself going forward. That's my mindset. I always feel like in the future, there's going to be a better version of myself than in the past.
Always. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. Kevin, one last question for you. Have you ever been to Cabo?
I have. I told you when I got married 19 years ago, my honeymoon was in Cabo at the One and Only.
Oh, and I'll have to have you come back.
And that's the last time I was there. Maybe, so.
You'll have to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm planning an event in November, and I'd love to have you come on down.
Absolutely. Love to see you. Yeah, meet you in person.
Yeah, we've done 2 of these calls, and we've yet to meet in person, but we'll change that soon enough.
Absolutely.
Kevin, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being a guest on my podcast.
Thanks for having me, Nick. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronaval Real Estate, and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronaval. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at ronaval.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.